Hey everyone, this is Squallsnake from mygamer.com and blogger at squallsnake.com, and today I am going to show you how to play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on a Game Boy Micro. Why is this a big deal? Why should you care? Well, this is a Game Boy Micro. If you've never seen one of these or if you've only heard about them, they are kind of rare and collectible these days. These consoles, which was the last Game Boy system ever made by Nintendo, does not work with Game Boy Color games. It is not backwards compatible. You cannot play original Game Boy games and you cannot play Game Boy Color games on a Game Boy Micro. It simply just doesn't fit. The cartridges, they just wiggle around. It's not like a GBA SP that is backwards compatible. Here you can play Game Boy games, you can play Game Boy Color games on your Game Boy Advance SP and it'll work, but not on the Game Boy Micro. This is a very unique system because the DS was already out at this time and Nintendo still released it anyway. It's very small. As you can see, it's basically the size of an SP, but that's not why we're talking today. So how can we play, Dexter's Laboratory, or how can we play any Game Boy game on original Game Boy or Game Boy Color game on a Game Boy Micro? The answer is a GB Everdrive. So here I have two models. I have the original GBA X5 and then the new mini, or the mini or micro they call it, X5. I bought these with my own money. They are not, giving me any kind of sponsorship or anything like that. This version came out first, and the complaint was, well, obviously when you're using it, it just kind of sticks out a little bit. It doesn't sit flush. It can be a little awkward to hold. It's about the size of Yoshi Topsy Turvy, if you ever played that Game Boy Advance game. So instead, over the last year or so, Crix updated it to fit this now into the micro shell. So these are actually the same exact card, the same exact flash card, but this one's just smaller and it fits and it looks cooler. You got your SD card slot up here and that's it. So what we're gonna do is we're simply gonna put this Game Boy Advance, you can see how it's nice and flush, card into the Game Boy Micro, and we're gonna turn it on. Okay, so I already have this set up here where I have many folders, including Game Gear and Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, even some Nintendo and some TurboGrafx games. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click on Game Boy Color, and let's go down to, C. And I'm gonna hit start game. I have no idea what I put in C. So how do you get Game Boy Color games on your Game Boy Everdrive? Well, you gotta use a program, it's called Goomba. And this is not gonna be a tutorial on how to use Goomba. It's super simple. You go to Goomba, you download it, you click on all the Game Boy or Game Boy Color games you want, you hit go, and it pumps it out as a .gba file. So now your GBA can view it. So the problem is you're not playing these games natively. This is run through emulation. So it could be prone to glitches, audio problems. It might not work at all. For example, here. So this is Croc. I'll just get a quick play of Croc so you can see. I think Croc will run okay. Oh no, it does. It runs pretty horribly there. So as you can see, the background is all glitchy and stuff, right? That does not look right at all. Sounds okay, but does not look right at all, okay? So you can go back, you can hit L and R, and you can hit exit, and it goes back to the main menu. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it off again and turn it back on. And another good example of a game not working because it's run through emulation, it is not played natively, is Donkey Kong. So I'm gonna boot up D, give it a second. As you can see, it loads pretty quickly, boots back up, and now it's playing all these Game Boy games that I put in here, Game Boy Color games, as a Game Boy Advance game. So I'm gonna go down to DK Country. Okay, so this is run through emulation. You could see that this is not gonna run as smoothly, and I'll show you a comparison in a second on a Game Boy Color. Very slow, I don't know if you can hear the sound, right? As you can see, the title screen, also very glitchy. So some games work, some games might not work, right? but you can still sort of play it, right? So it doesn't look so bad. It feels like it's playing slower. There's a little bit of lag. There's Kong upset. So this is not native Game Boy Color games. But you can still play it through emulation using a flash cart. If you wanted to play Game Boy Color games natively, you simply cannot do it on a Game Boy Micro. That's when you got to have, a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy Advance, and then you can get this Everdrive, which is this particular one is the X7 version, which is the most advanced version of an Everdrive that Crix has made. For comparison here, I'll turn this on, and then I'll boot up D again, and then you can see kind of the difference. So this is going to be as if there is no, where is it? Let's see, Donkey Kong. Here, Donkey Kong Country. So whereas the other game was played through emulation, this is not. This is as if you're playing the real thing, and you'll be able to see the difference and even hear the difference. I'll shut up for a second. Yeah, you can see the speed. Sounds good. No slowdown. This is how the title screen should look. Right? Look at that, big difference. Plus I am playing this on another IPS modded screen, which is fantastic, by the way. I love this thing. Original Game Boy, but just with the killer screen in it. Right? So this is how you play Game Boy Color games on a Game Boy Micro. And just for completion's sake, let's turn this on again, and I'll boot up a regular Game Boy game. You can also turn the screen brightness down. I think in one of my other videos I said that you couldn't, or I bypassed that fact, a lot. But here, I'll boot up game. So if you hit the L button and then you hit this volume, I don't know if it's not probably picking up on my camera, but it is going down, going up. So there's 5 different levels, so you can check that out. Anyway, Game Boy, and here's D. Let's see if we got Donkey Kong. We'll boot up the original Game Boy version of Donkey Kong just for a sort of comparison. All right, let's see if we can find it. Donkey Kong Land. There we go. My other advice is so when you're using Goomba to make your GB files, is don't put too many games in there. I'd say maybe cap it at 15, maybe 20 max. I found that if you try to put a lot of games in there, like you cannot put your whole library in one GB file. You do have to break it up. It simply just cannot run. Oh, I turned the volume all the way down. There. So here's original Game Boy Donkey Kong run on a Game Boy Micro. This runs pretty smooth, right? Sounds pretty good. I died, of course, but that's okay. So you can play right? So you can play Game Boy Color, and here real quick, I'll show you Nintendo. So you can play original Nintendo games too. There is a Nintendo emulator. There's even a TurboGrafx 16, and there's even a Neo Geo Pocket. Not Neo Geo Pocket Color, but Neo Geo Pocket, which kind of doesn't work well. But here's Nintendo, and let's just boot up something here that I started. So you can play a bunch of original Nintendo NES games on your Game Boy Micro using the Everdrive, right? So if you wanted to play, RBI Baseball 3, here we go, RBI Baseball. Here's RBI Baseball 1, the best sports game ever made. And if you think otherwise, you are wrong. So here, RBI Baseball real quick, just so you can see for completion's sake. It runs pretty well. Sounds good. You can play Nintendo games. on one of these guys too. So Everdrives, they cost a little bit more money, but man, you get what you pay for. These things, I've never had them fail. They've always worked as they should. They're easy to save. The features on them are great, right? So check that out. Everdrives, how to play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. I will put the Goomba link and everything in the description, so check that out. But if you wanted to play other Game Boy games on your Game Boy Micro, as well as still play on your GB SP or your original Game Boy, you can do that as well. Even if you wanted to use the GB slot, maybe I'll do that real quick. So here's the Everdrive again in the GB slot of your DS or your DS Lite. We'll turn this on, and it'll say Game Boy Advance cartridge in the bottom screen. Start GBA game. And it's going to boot up as if I was just playing it on this, or if I was just playing it on my SP. It doesn't really matter. So anything that has that Game Boy slot, you can play your Game Boy games. So pretty cool. I'll boot up Game Boy Advance and Advance Wars, just so you can see, right? So get yourself an Everdrive if you want to play all these games on your system. So Game Boy Advance games are played natively, so there is no emulation. So these things are going to sound perfect. They're going to play perfectly, right? Really cool. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Check out mygamer.com, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can, at ZackGaz, Z-A-C-K-G-A-Z. And until next time, thank you for watching, and game on.